Russ Dallen, President and Editor-in-Chief for Latin America Herald Tribune, joining us live from Miami. And I know you have an opinion, Russ. I hope you heard some of that discussion with Martin and some of the issues that came out. Are you surprised?
Well, in a sense, it was more of the same. Martin is exactly right. It was a militarization of some of the elements that he had not been in full control of. So you saw a capping of the price, as Martin mentioned, that you can only make 30 cents. So if you bought something for $1, you can only sell it for $1.30. If you sell it for more than that, you can go to jail or have all your stuff taken away.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, but is it basically the end of capitalism there?
It's certainly a containment of capitalism, is I think how they would see it. And they're certainly going to whittle away at capitalism's room to grow. Indeed, the ministers that were announced tonight, they moved out one of the pragmatists, a fellow Morentes, who had a PhD in mathematics. They moved him back to the central bank and out of the finance ministry. And they named a new finance minister, a general, who had been active in running some of the banks that the government had taken over before. But it does represent, you know, going to the military, that because they, in the Chavez mold, they follow orders.
I mean, I guess there's two really big issues here. One is this governmentization of private companies, and the second is this controlling of inflation. I know they're both somewhat interrelated, but I want to start with inflation as to if you think that the policies that he's put in place thus far, first of all, have they worked?
Well, in a short-term sense, yes, because he forced companies to sell things at lower prices. That won him big kudos from the population, so it made him very popular. And actually, his polls had been turning down until he started this DACAization, named after one of the stores that an equivalent of Best Buy, that he had the troops go in and basically give away things at 10 cents on the dollar. So in a sense, it was successful. It made him more popular. He showed up very well in the electoral polls in December, at the beginning of December. And I think this is a continuation based on the success that he had doing that. Instead of fighting inflation by raising monetary policy, he's going to fight inflation by saying you're going to have to lower your prices. And indeed, McDonald's just lowered the price of the Big Mac today, and announced that they were lowering the price of the Big Mac in Venezuela, which has 116 outlets throughout Venezuela.
Okay, so it has worked somewhat, but at the same time, what impact is that going to have on the business community? Because if you tell a business owner that he can only make a certain percentage on a product, they might think twice, won't they?
Yes, it's actually even worse in a sense that because it's much more complicated than that. The availability, if you could buy things at $1, it would be great. The problem is that you can't get dollars. So if you have to go into the black market to get dollars and pay 75 bolivars to the dollar, whereas the official rate is 6.3, and they're going to force you to use the official rate, there's no way you can just mark it up 30 cents. So you're going to see great shortages. As we're seeing now, we're seeing shortages across Venezuela, and they will continue to worsen.
That said, 2014 could be a very pivotal year. What do you expect to see, and what's a realistic expectation for investors?
Well, I think that there's going to be continued investment in the oil industry, and that's going to help Venezuela. With oil at $100 a barrel, that's going to continue to draw foreign direct investment to Venezuela. This week, we'll see Repsol sign a deal for another $1.2 billion in investment in Venezuela on Friday. The president of Repsol is in Caracas to sign that deal with Maduro. So in that sense, you're going to see money continuing to come in. But for the population, it's going to be a Cubanization, if you will.
All right. We'll leave it there. Russ Dallen, thank you, from the Latin America Herald Tribune. Always good to get your opinion on what's happening in Latin America, this time Venezuela.